UFC President Dana White went on the Nelk Boys podcast and hyped up and shamelessly promoted a UFC event at the White House, which I ultimately believe will never happen. But I'm going to explain to you. We're going to break down this podcast. We're going to look at a bunch of different clips in this video. I'm going to explain to you the real reason Dana White is really heavily pushing UFC at the White House 2026. And I feel like I've seen this story before. I feel like this has happened before. This feels like deja vu. I'm going to break that down in this video as well. He also discusses Jon Jones returning. He's already pushing Jon Jones returning to fight Tom Aspinall, potentially at the White House event. He talks about Islam versus Ilia. We're going to check it all out in this video. There's a lot to break down. We're going to jump right into it. Do me a favor, guys. If you enjoy these videos, like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, I watched this entire podcast. It's about 38 minutes long. I will link the full podcast down in the description. But there's some things I got to show you that aren't necessarily White House related. We're going to get through those rather quickly and then jump into the White House stuff. I'll put a timestamp down in the description if you care to skip over this. But you're not going to want to, okay? Because it's discussions of Islam versus Ilia. There's more Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall discussions as well. And Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett discussions as well. But I want to start off with this. And this really, truly shows me how much these people don't give a shit about regular people. Honestly, watch this. I'm not even going to give you any really context to it. Just watch this. Just listen to this, okay? Listen to this.
And from staph, it ended up fucking up his lungs somehow, from what I understand. You know, I reached out to his wife a few times during the, she, I'm sure, was an absolute fucking wreck. And, yeah, it's good to see him wake up.
You want to tell us about the new Form Energy?
Yes, I've always been a fan of energy drinks.
Do I even need to say anything? I understand this is a podcast, but I swear Dana White, all he does is hawk the next product. It reminds me of The Rock, man. It's getting so old. But just the tone-deaf nature, I said death, of going from Ben Askren looking like he's on death's door to, yeah, man, tell us about the Form Energy drink, bro. Tell us about that. I had to include that. I think it's an abomination. I think it's an embarrassment. I think it just shows a real lack of empathy. And I don't know if maybe I'm overreacting to this, but I mean, then he goes into a spiel about, man, Form Energy, man, the grape is such a high seller, man. Who cares about that Ben Askren? Jake Paul handled that, man. I don't even know if Dana really said anything about it publicly. He's never really liked Ben Askren. I guess he doesn't care. And I get it. You know, people don't need to go out and basically virtue signal nonstop about this and that and try to act like they're so morally superior because their thoughts and prayers and all that stuff. But man, to go from Ben Askren deathbed to promoting his energy drink is really just cold stuff. Next thing I want to show you guys, okay? Because there was a bunch of good stuff in this podcast, okay? We're going to listen to what Dana has to say about Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett, because this clip right here basically convinced me they're doing Topuria versus Paddy next. I know a lot of people thought that because they brought Paddy in the cage, but there was still some hope. Maybe Armin would get it because he did weigh in as a backup. Listen to this.
The bus attack.
Yeah. So I think that Ilia Paddy the Batty could be a massive buildup as well.
I don't disagree. It's a big fight.
Does that one excite you at all?
Yeah, definitely. And obviously that's a fight that the fans love too. And I don't know. We'll see. And people want to talk shit about Paddy. He's fucking undefeated. And every time people count him out, he fucking wins and wins spectacularly. So
there he is, promoting Paddy, already kind of defending Paddy against the naysayers, because people are going to be like, wait a second, Paddy just beat the dead corpse of Michael Chandler. While it was impressive, he should still get another win. He knows Topuria versus Paddy is a massive fight, and he knows Topuria is a mega star in the UFC. He's one of the biggest stars in the UFC, even though he's not Conor McGregor level. He's one of the bigger names in the UFC. People are overhyping his star power based on social media views. But he knows that, and he'd rather book Topuria versus Paddy because it's a win-win for him. If Topuria loses, he'll give him an immediate rematch. If he books him versus Arman, the true number one contender, and Topuria loses, then he has a big issue, okay? Because he doesn't have that star anymore. Paddy could be their star for him, and also there would be a rematch and then potential a trilogy if Topuria won. So I'm already convinced they're booking that. Complete sham, even though Dana's like, man, Paddy's undefeated, man. Everyone counts Paddy out, and then he comes through and wins spectacularly. He's already preemptively promoting Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett. There's no doubt about that, which is a disgrace. Next thing I want to show you, and this is the last thing I'm going to show you before we get to the White House stuff, is him talking about Ilia versus Islam. And it tells me even more. I could make an entire dedicated video on this, and maybe I will at some point. But it tells me he's already looking to the future. He does kind of backtrack a little bit in this one. I think he's going to try to give Topuria a welterweight title shot if Islam wins and Topuria beats Paddy in the meantime, which is a complete and utter abomination. But let's listen.
That's what happened with Volk Islam, right?
Well, the other thing is, too, is that Islam moves up, and obviously if Islam won the title, you know, you immediately have a super fight with him and Ilia. So
immediately? Now, he does backtrack. If Islam moves up and wins the title, you immediately have a super fight between him and Ilia. Ilia just beat Charles Oliveira on a one-fight win streak. He defended his belt one time at featherweight. We're going to give him an opportunity to capture a welterweight title if Islam becomes champ. Makes absolutely no sense. I really think they're going to try to book Topuria versus Paddy. Topuria chins Paddy. Islam beats JDM in the meantime. And then they're going to say, we're going to do Islam versus Topuria. Topuria is going to have the opportunity to become a 3-division champion and the GOAT of the sport, even though he's put in very little work in each division after winning a title. But let's carry on because there's more. He talks about this a little bit more. He backtracks a little bit. And then he talks about Jon Jones versus Aspinall a little bit here too.
Could that be, if Islam gets one victory, could that potentially happen?
You have to see, it's one thing to sit around. This is what the media always tries to do, sit around and talk about these fights before they happen, or, you know, hypothetically speaking. I don't like hypothetical. Mm-hmm. These are options that we have if things play out that way, but you never know what's going to happen. You know, I was absolutely confident that Jones versus Aspinall was done and we were going to do it. And here we are today, you know, so.
Man, you know that Aspinall-Jones fight not happening really irks Dana White. He talks about it more when we get to the White House stuff. He starts promoting Jones-Aspinall literally again, which is hilarious, but let's continue.
You never know. I don't get into it until it actually happens.
Is there a fight that you like almost made that didn't happen?
Aspinall Jones.
The
fight was done. Everybody had agreed to it. Everybody agreed to the whatever, and then Jones came back and said, "I'm going to retire."
What do you do when that happens in that moment?
The fight was done. Well, why didn't you announce it? You say nothing is official until you announce it. Jon never signed a contract. You can say, oh, well, you verbally agreed upon, but it didn't take 7 months. It took you 7 months to realize he wasn't going to fight him. He never signed a contract. There was never a bout agreement, which you say is when a fight's official, when you announce it and there's a bout agreement signed. But yet he didn't do it. So he's clearly butthurt about the Jones-Aspinall situation. Okay, let's get to the White House stuff. I'm going to jump to a clip real quick, but then we're going to look at some stuff that happened last week and cover the entire story in chronological order. So let's jump over to this. So this is the first thing we have. President Donald Trump says he will host a UFC fight at the White House as part of America 250-year celebration, I guess. Quote, we're going to have a UFC fight on the grounds of the White House, championship fight. So first off, I know there's a lot of Trump sycophants in the MMA community. I don't believe a word a politician says. And as soon as I saw this, I immediately thought it was bogus, okay? And I believe there's a reason why Dana White and Donald Trump are pushing this, but we're going to get to that later in the video. I want to save that for later in the video. But this is the initial announcement. We don't need to watch the clip. It is what it is. So then we have, you know, all the MMA Twitters running around. Dana White just reposted Donald Trump's announcement, seemingly confirming that the UFC will hold an event at the White House. And it's Dana White posting a picture. I don't know if they posted this picture, and then Dana White reposting the announcement here. Okay, so Dana White confirms, even though him reposting this does not confirm that by any means. Anyway, then I don't know who posted these screenshots Okay, but apparently it's Conor McGregor sending some type of audio messages to Dana White, and Dana White saying, I love it. Conor McGregor throws his hat in the ring. He wants to fight at the White House. He's publicly said that multiple times. We're not going to get into that too much in this video, but Conor McGregor wants to fight at the White House. Dana was asked about that in the Nelk Boys podcast. We're going to get to that in a second. Then we have this. I can't wait for the next Chandler interview. Conor McGregor posts an AI edit of him and Michael Chandler facing off in front of the White House, the only place where disputes truly get settled. So here we go. We have this AI. You know, Chandler looked at this all day and all night and just stared in the mirror and masturbated while he was looking at this picture as well. Okay, so is anyone else like? I mean, if this doesn't seem like the ultimate grift, I really don't know what is. I really don't know what is. I don't believe this for 1 second. But Conor McGregor wants to fight at the White House. You guys tell me this. Even if the White House event was really going to happen, would Dana White even trust Conor to headline that event? Because who knows if Conor's going to show up. First off, Conor's a crackhead, okay? He's going to show up. You're going to trust him to headline a UFC White House event in 2026? Doubtful. Very doubtful. Next thing we have, Johnny Meat, Jon Jones, fighting at the White House, ? Fighting at the White House, ? So Jon Jones, I'm going to show you a bunch of tweets here shortly after we look at some more clips of Dana White. But he's interested in fighting at the White House. Apparently he rejoined the drug testing pool. We'll get to that in a second. Then we have this. I think this is very, very telling. I haven't seen that many people talk about this, but this already tells me my theory of this UFC White House event not happening. I might be on to something here, okay? We got a report from NBC News, okay? The UFC has confirmed they will be holding an event at the White House in 2026 per NBC News, okay? Guys, this is where media literacy comes in handy, okay? This is where media literacy comes in handy, okay? They have confirmed they will be holding an event at the White House per NBC News. Okay? That's what Championship Rounds is saying. Okay? Quote. This is a quote from the UFC spokesperson and said more details would be released in due time. Okay? Quote. This is a quote from a UFC spokesperson. It's not clear how far along planning for the event is or how definitive or how definite it is that it will happen. Does anybody even read this stuff? The UFC confirmed they will be holding an event at the White House in 2026. It's not clear how far along they are planning the event or how definite it will happen. It is that it will happen. So which is it? It's confirmed and it's not confirmed in the same post. But for some reason, people hang on to that. People are hanging on to that. It's confirmed. We don't know. We don't know. Basically, we don't fucking know. We might not. Okay, that's essentially what they're saying. Anyway, back to the Nelk Boys podcast. First thing we're going to talk about is first thing we're going to hear is Dana talking about wanting to do an event there. Listen to this.
And you know, he loves the sport, so he wants to do a UFC event there. And why would we say no to that?
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. I feel like I've heard this song and dance before, but let's skip ahead. We're going to listen to it a little bit more. Why would we say no to that? Why would we say no? Now he talks about the challenges and how many people would be able to attend and what would they do for tickets. Listen to this.
Does this bring
tons of challenges? First of all, I don't even know how many people can get in, not to mention the fact that Secret Service isn't going to let a lot of people come do this. Everybody's going to have background checks. So yeah, whoever actually gets to be there live, it will be such a unique, amazing experience in their lifetime to be able to go to this fight.
So already hyping it up, you know. I mean, it's just crazy. Whoever's going to go there, it's going to be a once-in-a-lifetime event. They're going to be so lucky. Okay, keep hyping it up, Dana. Keep hyping it up. We know why.
And for us, when you think about when the fight is going on, while the fight's happening and we're filming, one whole side of the backdrop will be the White House, and then the other side will be the Washington Monument. So it's just, it's so unique, so badass, and so once ever, like you said.
That
one side is going to be the White House backdrop. So I guess they're doing it on the lawn, supposedly. So one side, the backdrop is going to be the White House. The other side is going to be the Washington Monument. Where have I heard something like this before, boys? I can tell when I'm being sold wolf tickets, and there's more to this. There's more to this. Does anyone else feel like they're being sold wolf tickets? Does anyone else feel deja vu? Does anyone else? Let's jump back 2 years. Let's jump back to early summer 2023. So over 2 years ago. Let's listen to what Dana had to say in this interview in early summer 2023. Let's listen. Let's listen to what he had to say.
So that was what send me location meant. And I was talking to both Elon and Mark last night. Both guys are absolutely dead serious about this.
Both guys are absolutely dead serious about this. Remember Elon versus Zuckerberg, Musk versus Zuck? Anybody else remember that? Anybody? Look, dude even made a shirt. Somebody said, this is a gimmick fight. Don't argue with someone like this, dude. I love doing massive fights. This isn't a gimmick fight. Gimmick fight is MMA guys going to boxing and getting beat. We've already seen it already and know how it ends. This is a fight between two of the most powerful, richest guys in the world. Who will win? Who has seen this before? Nobody. It's also a crossover fight that literally everyone will watch. That's an embarrassment. Dude made a shirt. He started selling a shirt. But that's not the part that I really want to highlight here, okay? That's not the part I really want to highlight, because you know where they were going to have this Musk versus Zuck event? You know where they were going to have it? Let's hear from Dana himself.
So what's up, man? Elon Musk? What's going on with Zuckerberg? Well, I heard you got all the information behind
You got to promote that?
By the way, this is late summer 2023. This is August of 2023.
It's real. It's real. They do want to fight. It's real.
It's real. Please buy my merchandise. Please keep talking about me in the headlines.
My wife says
It's real.
Zuckerman's going to kick his ass. I said, no, I think Elon's going to bust Zuckerman's
ass. We were literally funny because we were talking about the Coliseum for that fight. And I actually did have a meeting with it's the Minister of Culture's team
Really?
in Italy to actually hold that fight in the Coliseum.
So he's talking about Musk versus Zuck in the Rome Coliseum. How did that turn out, guys? That was in 2023. That was over 2 years ago. Sold wolf tickets, okay? Because it promoted his business. And all he talked about, if you guys want to go check out this TMZ interview, I'll link this one down in the description as well. All he did was talk about how big this pay-per-view would be, and it would be the biggest pay-per-view of all time, and the gate would be insane. And he's having it at the Coliseum. That's not what I even meant to show you there. That's too early to see that. Anyway, I've heard this one before, boys. I've heard it before. Anyway, let's jump ahead. There's more. We got some more. Okay, we got some more. We're going to expose all this at the end of this video. We're going to expose it all. Okay, I'm going to break it down for you in very easy to understand terms. But anyway, listen to this. Him talking about the card that they would supposedly build for the UFC White House event.
We'll see where we're at, and we will absolutely positively put on the baddest card of all time.
So this is not going to be like a normal card.
No,
all cards are great, but this is going to be
like
a super
an exceptional
card.
pay-per-view card.
Wow.
The baddest card of all time. Guys, Dana White tweeted this out the other day. This card is so badass. The BMF card is officially finalized. This is going to be fun in New Orleans. Does this look fun to you guys? Paulo Costa, Roman Khabibov is a co-main event. Does this look badass to you? Got Kevin Holland, Daniel Rodriguez featured fight on the pay-per-view card. Dan Ige, Patricio Pitbull, fourth fight down. Opening up the main card, Michael Johnson, Daniel Zellhuber. Is this badass to you guys? Dana doesn't even know how to build a card anymore. He said this is going to be the most badass card of all time. He's calling this badass. So if Paulo Costa, Roman Khabibov is badass, I hate to see what the White House event's going to look like, because the slop just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. But yeah, I just wanted to show that, because, I mean, it's just crazy. He's talking about how badass he's going to build this event that I believe will never happen, by the way. I'm not ready to completely die on that hill. Maybe there's a chance. Maybe there's a chance it does. And if it does, and he builds a mega card, so be it. So be it. It'll get massive attention to the sport. It'll be craziness. But I just got to show my skepticism for this fight card. Anyway, next clip I'm going to show you is him talking about the potential main event for UFC White House. listen to this, and also Jones Aspinall here.
So, and I saw Jones. We don't know if he was serious. Is he not retired anymore? Is he back in
You jump back in the pool, so.
Really?
Yeah.
Officially?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Look how happy Dana was there. By the way, look, this dude never leaves the house without hawking a product. Power Slap Cup, Form Energy Drink, and I think this is their stuff. Happy Dad. But as you guys may have seen, and I'm just going to go through this very, very quickly, Donald made his announcement on the morning of 4th of July. I called the UFC headquarters that same afternoon. I'll just leave it at that. America now, that tickles my pickle. Then he has, let's see, there's some more. Where is that? Choosing when to attack and where you want the battlefield to be is not ducking, my friend. I already told you guys, I believe at some point Jones will return. I don't know if it's going to be against Tom Aspinall. I don't know if it's going to be at the White House. But there's no doubt Dana wants to dangle this carrot out potentially to get that Jon Jones Aspinall fight. That's one of the reasons. That's not the main reason we're getting into. And then there's a little bit more. It would be me. Hold on. Someone said going to be the most epic fight in history. It would be. For me, it's about the opportunity to represent America at the White House. I don't care who I fight that night. I found my reason why. That's why what I needed. Something that was more than money. So are you going to fight? Who knows what the future holds? But the moment I heard Donald Trump's announcement, I started training again. And then he has some more, but we're not going to go through everything. But essentially, Jon Jones is now back in the testing pool, according to Jon Jones. And Dana desperately wants Jones versus Aspinall. Now, I believe Jones wants Aspinall to fight a couple more fights because, or at least one more fight, because if Aspinall loses, Jones gets to point and laugh and then come back and fight Cyril Gane for the title in a rematch. But if Tom wins, it only makes the Jones fight bigger. Imagine Tom wins 2 fights and then Jones fights him next year for the title. Jones took plenty of time off. He's partying, drinking, doing coke, whatever he's doing. Then he gets to come back and fight a Tom Aspinall in one of the biggest events ever, and it will be even more money for him because Tom Aspinall will have won a couple fights. But if Aspinall loses, Jones gets to point and laugh, and he could still come back and win the title at the White House. Anyway, let's continue more with this clip. He talks about it a little bit more here.
Because they're not going to want to miss something like this. So how sick is that for you that now you kind of got this White House event for them, and it's like, I feel like this is what brings...
No matter who popped up or who didn't or whatever, we would have put on an incredible card. But the fact that literally everybody wants to fight on this card, makes it a lot more fun.
What would be the dream main event?
I have no idea.
No?
I mean, the dream main event right now would be Aspinall versus Jones.
So here we go again. Imagine they tell Tom Aspinall to sit on the sidelines and wait for Jones for UFC White House event next year. Imagine that. But that's his dream main event. Let's see. Let's continue.
At the White House.
On any main event.
Yeah.
And how could they turn that down? That's the thing. It's like, you want to fight at the White House?
I don't know. We'll see.
Is it possible that McGregor and Jones would fight on the same card?
Could be.
That's
Anything
crazy.
is possible. I mean, anything.
Jones, Aspinall, and McGregor on the same card. Does anyone believe this? Does anyone believe this for 1 second? But reason number one, Dana White is promoting this event. Well, he hopes it happens because it would be massive pay-per-view buys, which obviously Dana White is money obsessed. Reason number two, we haven't even got to the main reason I believe this is really happening, because it's never actually going to happen, in my opinion. I could be swayed. Is because Dana got embarrassed by the whole Jones-Aspinall situation. Him 100% guaranteeing Jones versus Aspinall would happen. Now he has this White House carrot to dangle in front of Jon Jones after he glazed him for 2 years, calling him the pound for pound, calling him the GOAT, sucking him off on every press conference, only for him to retire and embarrass Dana. He can try to coax him back to come back to the UFC and help Dana make money. But that's not the main reason. We're going to get to it in a second, okay? Obviously, those are partial reasons. Next clip I want to show you is, again, him talking about Jones Aspinall, saying that it would be like McGregor Habib worthy in terms of pay-per-view sales.
But is there a fight in the UFC that you think could reach Conor Khabib level?
White House.
Yeah, Jones Aspinall is a massive fight.
Do you think that passes it potentially?
I don't know if it passes it, but it's that level of fight.
I feel like obviously the
especially
Khabib,
because they're heavyweights too.
yeah, and
He desperately wants that fight. He's obsessed with Jones Aspinall. He will do anything to make it happen. So if he can get Jones to agree, or try to get Jones back into it, and then say, "You look, the White House event isn't happening, so maybe we'll just do something else. You're already training Jones. Let's make you versus Aspinall anyway." But again, We haven't even gotten to the main broader point of this, which are the real reason I believe this is all happening. We're going to get to it in a second. Because what other reason could Dana White have for pushing a White House pay-per-view? You guys think on that for a second and comment down below if you guys know. I broke this down on my live stream the other day. I said I might do a video on this. This podcast showed up and I said, perfectly. What other reason? Well, Jon Jones basically gave every indication he was not going to return to the UFC for 7 months. And Dana White kept him on the roster. And Jon Jones, every time he was asked about it, said, I'm just being a company man. I'm just being a company man. Well, what else is going on right now, guys? Do you guys know what else is going on right now with the UFC? Dana White, Baldy here, is negotiating a new streaming rights deal. So the UFC may leave ESPN for another provider like Netflix, like HBO, like Amazon, and they're going to sign a new deal for years. It could be a 5-year deal. It could be a 10-year deal. I believe ESPN was a 10-year deal, if I'm not mistaken. And they used Jon Jones' name. Oh, we still got Jon Jones on the roster. We got Jon Jones versus Aspinall until it was untenable anymore. Okay, they were dangling that carrot out because right now, as we speak, they are negotiating a new streaming rights deal. And guess what Dana also happens to talk about in the middle of all this, okay? In the middle of talking about the White House event, listen to what he has to say.
A massive star right now. The world's going to change a lot in the next year with our rights deals. And, you know, depending on where we end up, I mean, but more than likely we're going to end up with a platform that is way more global than we are now.
Whoa.
Yeah, so.
Is there anything you can tell us about that, or when does that deal?
There's nothing. I mean, I don't have anything right now. We're in the middle of talks, you know.
When does that officially, like, kind of get announced?
I don't know.
No,
we'll see how it plays out.
Wow.
We're in talks right now. By the way, the glazing from this dude, I forgot what this dude's name is, Steve, or I don't know what his name is. I can't think of it right now. Steve? I think it's Steve, maybe. But anyway, wow, bro. So Dana just blows smoke up these podcasters' ass. They're like, wow, Dana, man, you're so cool, bro. You're so rich. You're such a gambler. What could help the UFC have leverage in streaming rights deals discussions with HBO, Amazon, or Netflix? Guess what? They could say, listen, you heard it from the president himself. We're going to have a White House event next year. Jon Jones is talking about coming back. Conor McGregor's talking about coming back. And people didn't like when I talked about this last year, but the whole Donald Trump pseudo-political rallies at UFC events, obviously Dana and Trump are friends, but those were essentially favors to Trump to hold a political rally at a UFC event and help promote Trump as he's running for re-election. Trump thinks of Dana as a friend and also a person that helped him get elected, along with the UFC brand as a whole, is a massive fan of him, okay? They got a lot of sycophants in the MMA community of political figures. So if Trump just publicly says that, oh, we're going to do an event at the UFC, we're going to do a UFC event at the White House, it gets all this attention and it helps Dana White have leverage in negotiating deals that are probably going to be finalized in the next couple months, long before it could ever actually be exposed that it's not happening. And meanwhile, everywhere they're acting like it's a foregone conclusion that it's actually going to happen. And what's even crazier here, okay, I'm going to skip back to the very beginning, is Dana kind of gives away the ball game in the very beginning of this video. In the very beginning of this podcast, he says it's not official yet. He just says, oh, we're kind of organizing now and we're going to pitch it to him. What's a pitch? That means it's not official by any means yet. Now, he could be saying, oh, we're getting the logistics figured out and whatnot. But you tell me if this seems like an event that's definitely happening, okay? I believe Trump is helping Dana for the streaming rights deal. I believe also there's a slight chance it could happen. Maybe they're not blowing smoke up everyone's ass and the fans are just lapping it up. I just find this hard to believe. I've heard this story before. Listen to this.
And we're putting together sort of the layout for it right now and probably going to pitch it to him in the next week or two. But the day that he said he wanted to do it, he put Ivanka in charge. So I worked with Ivanka and my team and got to where we are now. And now we got to go pitch the whole thing to him. Me, Craig Borsari, my head of production, and Ivanka will all go pitch.
Where's Billy Hornbuckle?
It to him.
So pitch it to him. He mentioned pitching it to him 3 times. Pitch means offering up the idea. Again, I believe this all is a ploy. I believe Dana will use this to help promote his organization because he's too lazy to actually promote it. He just uses stuff like Elon versus Zuckerberg and the White House event. And it's Fight Island. I can't believe I took this long to mention it into the video. It's Fight Island all over again. Fight Island was just an arena in Abu Dhabi. But Dana said, I'm getting an island together. I'm getting an island together. And everyone was like, oh my God, there's going to be an octagon on the sand. And they did an octagon on the sand. And people were even confused whether or not it was actually going to happen like that or not. And it was just an arena in Abu Dhabi. I can't believe I forgot to mention it this whole time. Wolf tickets again. It was just an arena in Abu Dhabi. Dana White's using the White House event as leverage to get Jon Jones back. If it does happen, great. It's going to sell a lot of pay-per-views. And then on top of that, it helps him secure a massive streaming rights deal, a number that he actually wants. Maybe right now, people aren't giving him the number that he wants. He's like, listen, we got Jon Jones, Conor McGregor, White House event. I don't believe it at all, guys. There might be some more information that comes out over the next few months that makes it more believable. Gun to my head right now, UFC White House never happens. And guess what? I think I live. I think it's really Donald Trump doing a favor for his friend Dana White, who helped him get elected. And I think it's really as simple as that. If anyone that actually is like, yeah, man, I'm sure the White House event's going to happen, I think you're way too gullible, to be quite honest. And maybe I'm wrong. And again, we'll see what happens over the next few months. I'll cover this when there's more information on it. I didn't want to jump on it last week just because Dana's posted an Instagram post and that's it. But again, they're pitching it right now. Ultimately, it's not going to happen. They're using it as a carrot to dangle in negotiating rights deals with streaming organizations like Netflix and HBO and Amazon. And I think that's it. If you guys want to check out the full Dana White podcast, I'll link it down in the description. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.